So there is a story not taught in schools but whispered through generations in Odisha. The story of a 12-year-old boy Dharampadh. Let me take you back to the 13th century. King Narsingh Dev of the Eastern Ganga dynasty had just returned victorious from war. To make his glory, he decided to build a temple so grand, so majestic that it would capture the power of the sun itself. And he chose the village of Konark, where the first rays of the sunlight touched the earth, as the place for this miracle. He called the best architect of the time, Bishu Maharana, and gave him the responsibility of building this dream. A team of 1200 craftsmen joined the project. Day and night they worked, cutting giant stones, carving gods into the walls, and raising a temple so tall it felt like it was touching the sky. For 12 years the work continued, but in the end just one piece remained, the Kalash, the final crown stone that had to be placed at the top of the temple shikhar. But it would not fit. No matter how they tried, the Kalash just would not stay in the place. The structure was perfect, the alignment exact, but something was not working. The king lost patience. He sent a warning. If the Kalash isn't fixed by the sunrise, all the artisans will be executed. Terror spread in the camp. Imagine 12 years of devotion about to end in death. This is when Dharampadh enters the story. He was just 12, the son of Bishu Maharana. Born after his father had left for the temple work, all his life he had only heard stories about his father. Stories of his skill, his vision, his greatness. On his 12th birthday, he told his mother, "I want only one gift. Let me meet father." His mother agreed. She packed a small bundle of food, gave him their loyal dogs Balia, and sent him on the long journey to Konark. When he reached the site, Balia ran ahead and found Bishu Maharana. The father saw the dog and froze. Then came the boy, and in that moment, a father saw his son for the first time. It should have been a moment of joy, but fear was hanging in the air. Dharampadh heard about the problem, the Kalash, the king's threat, the hopelessness. Quietly, he said, "Let me try." The others laughed. A 12-year-old boy, but Bishu Maharana saw something in his eyes. Determination, clarity, maybe even genius. He gave his son permission. That night, when everyone slept, Dharampadh climbed the tall temple alone. He studied the structure. He noticed what others had missed: the calculation, the balance, the magnetic force. It all made sense to him. Slowly, carefully, he adjusted the mechanism, and by the time the sun began to rise, the Kalash was in place. The temple was complete. The idol of Surya Dev inside the sanctum began to float, perfectly aligned with the magnetic pull from the top. It was magical. The artisan cheered. There was joy, pride, and relief. But then fear returned. If the king sees that a 12-year-old did what 1200 men could not, what will he think? That we were lazy, that we cheated him. Some panicked, some suggested silence, some even whispered something darker, that Dharampadh must not be allowed to speak. The boy heard it all. He looked around at the temple he had completed, at the people he had saved, and at the father he had just met. And he made a decision. He climbed once again to the top of the temple, the same place he had installed the Kalash. He stood there, looked up at the rising sun and smiled. And then he jumped. He gave his life so that no one else could lose there. Later that morning, the king came to see the finished temple. He was speechless. It was everything he had dreamt of and more. The temple stood tall, and the sun, God's energy alive in every stone. But something strange happened. Despite warnings from the temple's priest, the king insisted on completing the consecration on a particular day. People say that from that moment, bad sign began. Statues cracked, cracking, stone began to fall, the floating idol collapsed. Slowly, the temple began to break apart. Some call it bad luck, some call it divine anger. Others say it was Dharampadh's sacrifice left unrecognized by king that brought this curse. Today, what remains is only the skeleton of what once stood, a piece of the dream, broken by time, but the story of Dharampadh, it lives on, in the wind of Konark, in the silence of the stones, in the heart of those who still believe in sacrifice, in faith, and in the power of one small boy to change history.